Hello and welcome. You've checked it again with Crossroads here on Big Centre TV. Hope you've been enjoying the show every weeknight at 9 o'clock. Now if you haven't joined us before, well, Crossroads Check-In has been your regular chance to air your views, see some interesting things and look ahead to what's coming up next. And this week is an important programme because it's the end of the current series of Crossroads Check-In. So we'll be having a last look, for the time being, at some of the messages you've been sending us. We'll have a look back at some of the events from last week's episodes and of course a look forward to the episodes coming up next week. And as a little bit of a special treat, we'll be catching up again with Jane Rossington for more of her Crossroads memories. Now don't be too sad, because over the next couple of months I'm going to be putting together a number of special programmes about Crossroads which will hopefully be showing over the Christmas period. So don't worry if you missed any of John's location pieces or any parts of our chat with Jane Rossington, because take it from me, there's still plenty more to come. Now you might have noticed some extra episodes of Crossroads popping up unannounced recently on Big Centre TV. Well, as some of our viewers have pointed out, a few of the earlier episodes we somehow missed out of the running order over recent weeks, so we thought we'd take this opportunity to root them out and give you a chance to see them, and it seems like they're going down quite well. So watch out for them at various times during the week, including after this very programme, all the way through until our current run of Crossroads episodes comes to an end. Don't fret though, fans of popular retro TV are still going to be able to indulge themselves, because starting in the next couple of weeks, Big Centre TV is going to be bringing you some absolutely classic TV, including something very close to my own heart, a certain Saturday morning show made right here in the Midlands. So keep watching the website www.bigcentre.tv for more details. Plus keep an eye on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Instagram too. Look us up, it's at Big Centre TV. So then, time to take a last look for now at some of the messages we've received recently. And first up, we've been contacted by someone utterly infamous in the history of the Crossroads Motel. His name is Kevin Clark and he comes from Wolverhampton. But see if you recognise him. Yes, he's one of those three yobbos seen on the November night in 1981 when much of the Crossroads Motel was razed to the ground in the fire. Now Kevin emailed full of remorse. He says, "Back in the 70s and 80s, I loved my time spent working at the ATV Centre, doing many non-speaking walk-on parts in productions like Crossroads. In fact, the first episode you broadcast on Big Centre TV, the 1981 motel fire, featured me as one of the yobbos that's apparently burned down the Crossroads Motel. How dare I?"
It's like Christmas shopping every year. No, the official bonfire is in the village tomorrow. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, what? Oh. Sorry, what? Oh, yes. Goodbye.
Blimey, it was him. Anyway, Kevin goes on to say, "In another episode, I remember they dyed my hair several colours for my role as a punk rocker when I had a couple of speaking lines with David Hunter.
Haven't you got any better music than this?
I'm sorry you don't like it.
No, rubbish.
Yeah, too right.
Charming. Anyway, Kevin says, "ATV wanted me for 2 days of filming and needed the new punk hairstyle they'd given me to stay the same for continuity reasons. So, as I was travelling home by train, they gave me Benny's hat to wear to ensure that I didn't look too menacing. I gave it back the next day, of course, and after filming was over, they tried washing all my hair colourings out, but they was all stuck solid, so they took me to the hair salon underneath the ATV Centre and footed the bill for it all to be bleached out and my hair colour restored again." Thanks, Kevin. Here's another look at Kevin from 1981. Now he's the one with the very blonde hair.
Excuse me.
And finally, Kevin's earlier appearance from 1972. Now Kevin is the one in the purple and yellow jumper. And he says that back in the day he used to think that his purple sweater with yellow stripes was so cool.
Oh, you picked the right place here, fellas. This is where all the action is. Ah! Enter, young love.
Brilliant. Thanks for getting in touch, Kevin. And we'll try and get Kevin into the Big Centre magazine studio sometime soon to talk about his appearances. Now, a few weeks ago, you might remember we had a message and some photos from Stephen Cove. Well, Steve has been a massive fan of Crossroads all his life, and he's been back in touch to share a few more of his photographs with the stars. Firstly, he says, "This is Noel and I at the stage door of the Victoria Palace Theatre in London in 1982, just after a performance of Call Me Madam." Next, Steve says, "This is Jane Rossington and I at the Alexandra Theatre in Birmingham in 1993. She was using a rehearsal room and I was working there." And finally, here's Steve with Tony Adams. Steve says, "He was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and I worked at the theatre. This is us in 1997 promoting the New Forest show." Wow, thanks Steve. You're a proper friend of the stars, aren't you? I bet you treasure those photos, eh? And if you have any photos of yourself with anyone famous, why don't you get in touch and we'll feature them in the new Big Centre magazine show, which is coming up soon. Next up, we have an interesting one. Terence Clark has written to us to say, "Last week you showed a clip of Wilf Harvey and his dance partner walking into the motel. In the background there was a man sharing a drink with his mate. The man in question, who appeared in quite a few episodes, was an old workmate of mine, Walsall born and bred Gordon Waterson. Now, he was a very well-known singer at the time and went under the stage name of Ricky DiZeno. Hope this bit of useless information has been useful to you." Also, in the 60s, a lady by the name of Dolly Allen appeared in a few episodes. Could this be the same Dolly Allen as the Black Country comic? Thanks, Terence. Well, there you go. You saw the clip of Terence's mate, Gordon Waterson. I hope I pronounced his stage name right. I know Terence wasn't entirely sure of the spelling either. Anyway, on the point of Dolly Allen, although she died back in 1990, she remains one of the Black Country's most famous comedians to this day. Now, I've heard and seen her performances over the years, and they never fail to raise a smile. She's brilliant. Now, I've done a little investigating on this, and you are indeed correct that a Dolly Allen is listed on IMDb as being in just over half a dozen episodes of Crossroads from 1964 to 1978, but it's a little unclear as to whether it's actually the same person. However, I did turn up one interesting piece of information. The Black Country Bugle mentions that our Dolly Allen did indeed appear in Crossroads, but as an extra during the 1980s. Now, the IMDb page doesn't list this, so it's possible that the person in the 60s and 70s is a different person, and the Dolly Allen you're thinking of was in Crossroads during the 80s. But if anyone can spread any more light in this, do let us know. And finally, Christopher Meadows has been in touch to say, "Fantastic to see Crossroads again. I was 15 and it seemed to be on all the time. To see those faces again, wow. Top marks to all who stored and restored the tapes. It looks so fresh and alive." He goes on to say, "The EastEnders lot don't pay their electric bill because it's all dark and dingy and full of violence. And Corrie just hop into each other's beds or for the ratings." Thanks again to all at BCTV, from Chris. Great, thanks for giving us your opinions, Chris. Of course, we couldn't possibly comment on the other soap operas, but you obviously love your Crossroads. So, there you go. That was our last look into the postbag here on Crossroads Check-In for this series. However, remember, you can still get in touch with Big Centre TV about anything to do with the programmes we show, including Crossroads. And I'll still be around to go through them all on the postbag within the brand new Big Centre magazine show. So, if you'd like to get in touch with us about anything at all, you can look us up on social media. Whichever one you go to, just do a search for Big Centre TV. Or you can email the station via hello@bigcentre.tv. And as ever, you can put pen to paper, and many people still do, you know. So our postal address is Big Centre TV, 14A, Lower Hall Lane, Walsall, WS1 1RL. Now it's time to take a look back across the week at what's been happening in and around our favourite motel.
Ed, have you thought any more about what we were talking about?
What was that?
Making Benny a partner?
Oh, you must be joking, Diane. Him run a farm? He's just a farmer's boy, and he'll always be one.
Listen, I seem to remember you telling me I was wasting my time teaching him to read and write.
Don't forget, Diane, to pick up my partner's comic.
Oh, shut up.
Partner? You mean me? That's a good one, isn't it?
Why don't we have a picnic by the river?
Oh, I'd love to.
Thanks, David.
You find someone?
Yes, they didn't say cheap, but I'll get them to come round and give us an estimate. Well, it's very nice to see you back, Kelly, all in one piece. The old place hasn't been the same without you.
Nice to be back, too.
I'm coming, hang on. Hey, Vera!
Some bloke.
What happened?
I don't know.
Sit down, lad.
He came up behind me.
Well, after your money, were he?
Yeah, and he got it. The lot. Cash box, handbag, the whole damn lot.
And the trouble is, I can't pay.
Yes, well, that does present a bit of a problem.
But there is one way out, I'm happy to say.
Tell me.
I'm very willing to pay off in installments.
Ah.
Say 50p per week.
Oh.
My latest consultation with the crystal, which is now, I'm glad to say, getting attuned to my vibrations, shows without a shadow of doubt that I'm going to live to 93.
93.
At least.
Right, we're just going to take a short break now, but don't go anywhere, because in part 2 we'll be checking in again with Crossroads' own Jane Rossington for an extra helping of memories from her time on the programme. And of course we'll be taking a look ahead to what's coming up on our Crossroads run during next week too. Don't check out, we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back, and thanks for checking in with Crossroads right here on Big Centre TV. Still to come, we're going to have a look ahead to some of the episodes we're going to be showing during the coming week. But first, it's time to go through to the lounge for one last time, this series anyway, to check in with Crossroads' very own Jane Rossington. How about the boss then, Reg Watson?
Oh, Reg was wonderful. He was. He's like a naughty boy. He used to come in with his wonderful eyes, and he'd always got something up his sleeve, you know, say, Jane.
Because he's Australian.
Yes, he is Australian. We used to, I can't do Australian, but we all used to tease him. And he'd come and say, Jane, bit faster. And I'd go, oh, all right, Reg, yes. You know, I liked his notes. They were very straightforward. But just occasionally, you know, you might say, you don't know what the story is, but don't play it like that. Play it more like whatever. You know, and I'd say, okay, fine. And I said, why? He said, I'll tell you, you'll find out in a couple of weeks' time. So, and things like that, which were, he was very good. And he was very, you could really almost do what you wanted to do, as long as it fitted his scheme of things, which is absolutely right for a good producer. And as long as you're doing what they want and what looks right, because we can't see ourselves, you can only sort of imagine. And again, it's just doing it. And Reg always had, he had some wonderful ideas. I can remember once we were heavily under when it came to the timings. And he said, right. And he went off to makeup and said, have you got any wigs? And have you got any of these or whatever? And they went, wigs? Somewhere. Well, get them all out. And so then we had an ad lib with these wigs in the hairdressing salon, where we've all, well, I forget why we were there, but we all walked, several girls walked in and were giggling away, saying, we should be doing this, and you try this on. I think you look wonderful. So we just ad-libbed with our eyes trying to watch as they're going 5 and then leave it, you know. But that's really scary. Because it really is. You just don't know what you're doing. And the trouble is, you don't dare to speak, because you think, well, somebody else will speak. Then what happens is, 2 of you speak together.
It becomes like a car crash then, isn't it?
Anyway, never mind. And sometimes it would work, sometimes it didn't work very well, but that's life, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah. And the famous theme tune, Tony Hatch. Did you know Tony?
Yes, I did meet him. I met him years later on a show somewhere, and he was such a lovely man. And he said, it was very interesting. You see, we don't think about theme tunes, but of course it was a fantastic theme tune. He said the whole point about a theme tune it's got to be iconic, in as much as you start to go doing and everybody else goes doing, 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 and you knew what it was going to be. And you enjoyed the fact that you knew it, and you felt good about knowing it. So he said, I really had to think about and I knew they wanted that sort of, come and sit down, it's about to start. So it's like a call sign, not a call sign really. And it really worked.
And thanks ever so much to Jane Rossington for sparing the time to pop in and see us here at Big Centre TV. I think you can tell Jane is still so enthusiastic for the show that's followed her throughout her life. She was there from start to finish, and of course she also popped up in the Millennium version of Crossroads from around 15 years ago. She loves to talk about it. In fact, when we recorded our interviews with her, I couldn't stop her talking, and a few days afterwards she actually phoned me when I was on holiday to say how much she'd enjoyed herself in the chats. So massive thank you to Jane from me. Thanks. Now don't worry if you miss any of the previous instalments of Jane's interview, because I'm going to be putting together a special Crossroads Check-In Christmas special, which you'll be able to see even more from Jane and hopefully some more special features as well. Okay, now it's time to take a look ahead to this week's episodes of Crossroads right here on Big Centre TV. And if you've never seen these shows before, remember, there might just be a couple of spoilers along the way. So how about just shut your eyes for a couple of minutes and I'll tell you when they're done. Episode 2582 is from August 1976. David has to explain Bob's outrageous behaviour from the previous night's meal. Stephanie gets a gentleman caller at her flat, whilst Vera is given a lesson in boutique economics.
Well?
Well, what?
The last thing I said was that I was still manageress here. There's been a deafening silence ever since.
I wouldn't say that exactly. Anyway, you are the boss. Was I supposed to object?
No.
Well, let's not snap.
I'm not snapping.
Look, there's no reason we should rub each other the wrong way. You are the manageress, and I do have ideas for improvements. At least I think there'd be improvements. But I don't take personal offence if you think the ideas are rotten.
Now, I didn't say...
And don't think it's presumptuous of me to make them. Okay?
Okay. Nice weather we're having.
Yes. Yes, it's lovely. Much too lovely to be spending all our time cooped up indoors.
No alternative, is there?
Well, we have our weekends.
How'd you spend yours?
In Brum, usually. I have friends there.
Oh, yeah.
But this weekend,
Yeah?
I thought I'd chance my luck and ask you to take a drive in the country with me, if the weather holds.
Oh.
Well?
A drive in the country? Why not?
Episode 2583 is from August 1976. Glenda and Vera discuss Rita Whitten's trouble-stirring behaviour. Mrs. Whitten takes her suspicions of theft to Sandy, but he's reluctant to involve the police. Meanwhile, in the office.
Oh, thank you, Jane.
Shall I leave, Mr. Hunters, or...?
Yes, he won't be long.
Are you sure?
Don't worry, it won't go cold, thank you.
Oh, but I know what he's like, you know, about his coffee. Real ground beans, furnace hot, like you.
Well, I've been called many things, but never a real ground bean furnace hot.
No, I meant you at home.
Pardon?
Well, with your real coffee. Not many girls drink that nowadays, you know.
How do you know what coffee I have at home?
Mrs. Whitten told me.
Oh, and who told Mrs. Whitten?
It's not a secret, is it? I mean, she just said that you'd given Jeff a taste.
Well, I hope by that she meant only a taste of coffee. When was this?
Last night. Round about midnight, she said.
Because that's what Jeff told her.
Yeah. Oh, I was just leaving your coffee, Mr. Hunter.
And what did she think I suspected she was doing?
Episode 2602 is from September 1976. While Meg tries to decide whether she's either being blackmailed or bribed by Sir Hector Prince, she expends her wrath about the potential scandal on Rex Oliver. Hugh appalls David with his plans for a new disco at the hotel. Meanwhile, Glenda is taking part in some very rare Crossroads outdoor filming.
Where to, love?
Run!
Who's the lucky girl in?
Okay, you can open your eyes now, they're all done. And that's all we've got time for this series of Crossroads Check-In. I just want to thank a few people for their help in putting together this series. First to John Drury and Glenn Allen for the features that they've been making for the show. To Stephen Thwaites and Pete Raven, my two old mates from ATV Land Productions. Now, a few years ago we made a couple of documentaries about the old ATV studios for the Media Archive for Central England. The old studios have now been demolished, but if you're interested in either Crossroads or ATV, then why not go and have a look for them. And thanks also to everyone whose name you're about to see in the credits. And the biggest thank you of all, of course, goes to you. Now, whether you've been in touch or you just watch this show. Now, for supporting Crossroads and for enjoying what we do here on Big Centre TV, thank you. It really does mean a lot to us. So stick with Big Centre TV because there's plenty of good stuff still to come. I know that for a fact. And finally, if you do want to get in touch, remember on social media we are at Big Centre TV. Email us via hello@bigcentre.tv or write to us, and the address for one last time on here is Big Centre TV, 14A Lower Hall Lane, Walsall, WS1 1RL. And that's it. Thanks for checking in with Crossroads. Time for me to check out though, but I'll see you again very soon. Crossroads Motel, can I help you? Oh, you want it all shifted? Okay, give me a few minutes. Go.
Last base clear.